Hello and welcome again to my Physics Online video lecture series. Today's video we're going to be talking about the center of mass, specifically within the context of a system which is at equilibrium. We have of course previously talked about the center of mass for a system that's dynamically interacting, like center of mass motion for a collision, for example. Today we want to look at center of mass for a system which is in equilibrium. And kind of the interesting thing about this is you can use equilibrium to find the center of mass for a complicated object. So again, what is the center of mass for a system? In some sense, we're just recalling this from our previous video. If I want to find the position of the center of mass for my system, what I'm basically doing is adding up all of the individual pieces of mass within the system, multiplied by their position with respect to some reference point, and then dividing by the total mass of the system, which we might write like this. Okay, so basically I can put parenthetically mj, sum of mj on j is total mass of object or of system. And when we did this previously, we did it in the context of, let's say, an object here and an object there and maybe a reference point over here. So this would be like x equals 0 at this location, and so this right here would represent x sub 1, and this would represent mass 1, and then this distance right here from that same location all the way over to here would represent x2, and this would represent m2. And so if I wanted to find the center of mass for this very simple system, the center of mass would just be m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. And that's it. That's finding the center of mass for a relatively simple system of masses. What today adds to this discussion beyond just finding the center of mass for simple systems like this is that when you have an equilibrium condition, you can find the center of mass for a more complex object. For example, I have here my little teacup, and if I want to find where's the center of mass for this teacup, how might I go about doing that? Well, if I suspend it like this, my center of mass will actually fall somewhere in a straight vertical line below my suspension point. Now, that gets you more or less the center of mass along this one axis. There are, of course, multiple axes that the center of mass might fall along. We should have one along this axis, and then there should be another one along this axis somewhere, which is a little harder to do. I can lightly suspend it along here and draw a third center of mass axis here. And where the three axes cross, that's the center of mass for my object. So let's show that as kind of a diagram. So I have an irregularly shaped object, and I've got two little holes cut into the object so that I can suspend the object from a string from two different points. And essentially, when I've suspended it from this point and the object is hanging at equilibrium, the center of mass will lie somewhere along this dashed line. So now let's say that I suspend it from the second point. It's now suspended from the second point like this. I can draw yet another dashed line that goes vertically from that point, and wherever these two lines intersect, that is where the center of mass of the object is going to be located. You can also do from a third axis and get the exact location depth-wise for what it's worth. How does this work? Okay, so let's again say that I have some object that has been suspended by a string from some location. By the way, it doesn't have to be suspended from a string. It could also be some object that is balanced upon a point that's sitting on the ground. That also works. So, a vertical line here or a vertical line here both locate the center of mass. Either way works. Let's say that the center of mass is along this line somewhere. It doesn't actually matter where that center of mass is. If I were to draw the forces vectors, I would have one force along this direction, F tension. I'd have another force along this direction, which is the mass of the object times g. That's force of gravity. Over here, I'd basically have a normal force, Fn, and I'd have somewhere an mg for the object. In either case, my tension force and my force of gravity must be equal because the sum of forces has to be 0. So they have equal magnitude, opposite direction. I could also say the normal force and force of gravity are equal for the same reason. All right. What about torques? Well, sum of torques also has to be 0. Sum of torques equals 0. These two things are not at the same location, or presumably are not at the same location. I could, I suppose, drill the hole directly through the center of mass, but in principle, they're just somewhere along this axis. So now I pick a point along this axis and call that my axis of rotation. So this right here could, for example, be my axis of rotation. Then my x's may be different here, but you'll notice that the direction of these two relative to each other ends up both being the same. And in fact, the direction is such that when I do r cross f for both, and therefore have r times f times sine of theta, you'll notice that theta is 0 degrees for both. And that means that the torque being applied by gravity and the torque being applied by the tension force along this axis in both cases is 0. And so essentially what that means is that I have no net torque, no net force. And it can be shown, though I will not because this video would be very long for me to show that if I picked a different axis of rotation, say over here, and I wanted to find for each of these that the sine of the angle times r is such that I get the same value but opposite directions for both of these two forces. So if this right here is r1 sine theta 1, and this one right here is r2 sine theta 2, that r1 sine theta 1 and r2 sine theta 2 will be equal for any choice of axis. Okay? So that is finding the center of mass for an object experimentally. It works for a complex object, for example, this little coffee mug, teacup, whatever you want to call it, complex object, this hat. You can find your center of gravity along two different axes here. It also works for simple systems, like if you had a little mobile or whatever, or a meter stick balanced on a little fulcrum, essentially. If I have some mass here, I've got the fulcrum here, and I've got the stick here, then my center of mass for this system is somewhere along this line. And that's true as well for even a fairly complex system where I have many different masses located there. So that's it for today's video. It was meant to be short, and it is short. So hopefully you learned something interesting from watching this video. Thanks for watching.